Hi guys, this is Jeff at Slavens Racing. I'm going to continue on with some pipe testing today. It's another great day up here in the mountains. And I've already done some preliminary testing on these two pipes. The day I did it, I was with a couple other guys. We were all three testing them, and a storm was coming in. We kind of got rushed, and I don't think we did a very good job. So I'm going to redo the test. And I'm going to start off with measuring or weighing them here with my fish scale. So we'll start over here with Fatty. See if you can see what that says. We'll call it about 5.1. Sorry, I'm doing this by myself, so I can't really watch the camera and do this at the same time. Okay, I checked the zero on it, so it's good. And then this is the gnarly. It's 5.75. So definitely a little porkier, but not too bad. I don't think doesn't feel as heavy as the previous years, but I could be wrong. All right, I'm going to continue on with the test here, so stay tuned. Okay, guys, this is the stock pipe, but it's got a guard on it. And when I get back home, I've got some guards. I'll weigh those and subtract that. But you can see that it's 6.66, 6.65, right in there. So I'll get back to you on that. Okay, guys, so I just got back from a couple laps on this FMF Fatty. What I've done is what I always do when I'm testing. I kind of set up a course. Today it's about 2 miles long. I'm doing it out and back. And I rode the stock pipe on it first, and now I've got the Fatty on there. And I want to tell you, this is on my 24 KTM 300 XC-W, the TBI motor. And I forgot to mention that earlier. And I'm running it with the stock muffler for now, just for testing purposes. Up here we need spark arresters, so I'll switch back to the spark arrestor muffler after this, but I want to test it with the stock muffler. The test will be the same whether it's with the stock muffler or not, except for it's going to have slightly less power with spark arrested muffler. All right, and you can see this is the Fatty. And so this is what they consider their all-around pipe. It's supposed to basically kind of mimic the stock power band, but just give you more everywhere. And this is what I would consider their race pipe for you guys that are racing, like hare scrambles, enduros, that kind of stuff where you're hard on the gas all day. This would not be my choice probably for a hard enduro guy who wants just all that real bottom end. I think the gnarly is going to be the one for that, but we'll get to that here in a minute. All right, so what this pipe did, well, let me first tell you, the fit and finish on this thing is great. It goes right on. There's no installation issues. The holes line up, all that. The build quality looks good as far as the welds and the plating and everything. Typical FMF quality. So when I tested this before and when I tested it today, I felt like at the very, very, very bottom of the power band, it lost just a little bit. I mean, it's way down on the power band. And then, but it comes out of that quicker than the stock pipe. It kind of has more of a hit to it, whereas the stock pipe makes the motor extremely linear. So with this pipe, some of that linear power delivery is gone. It's a little more of a racy feel, so it's got more of a hit to it. It's not a hard hitting like a motocross bike, but it's got more of a zing to it, and it pulls harder through the mid-range, and it revs higher in the top end. Some guys would complain that the stock top end's kind of lackluster. Yeah, okay, but for trail riding, that's not where I ride. You know, if you're revving the guts out of them on a trail, either you're a top AA guy or you're going to be on your head, because that just doesn't work for most of us. And it's hard to get, good power delivery or good traction that way. Anyhow, guys, so just to review this Fatty, I think it's just a very, very, very slight loss on the very bottom. And then pulls harder through that lower part of the power band into the mid-range. Definitely more mid-range punch and definitely more over rev. And no, I'm not going to be dyno on these pipes. Some, people always want to know about the dyno numbers. Well, I don't live by dyno numbers because that's all they are. They're just numbers. And would it help me with this test to evaluate these pipes? No. FMF has had these pipes on a dyno plenty. I don't need to redo that. What I want to know is how it hooks up. What kind of traction it gives me. What type of power delivery. So if it's harder to ride, easier to ride. This pipe is probably a little bit harder to ride because there's more power there and it hits harder. So that's going to give it a little more yank on the old arms compared to the stock pipe, which is extremely smooth. But this is a fun pipe to ride. Don't get me wrong. If you want your motor a little bit zippier, then definitely put this one on. And for all you guys that are racing, I would definitely use this pipe. It's going to give you more of that mid-range and top end, which is usually where you're running them if you're a hair scrambles guy. If you're doing GNCCs or any type of a hair scramble circuit, you're not down on that very bottom. So that tiny bit of loss on the very bottom is not going to mean anything in a race situation. All right, guys, I'm going to move on now to the next pipe, the Gnarly. So I'll get that bolted up and then go for a quick spin. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so here I am with the Gnarly pipe. I just went out and did the out and back on it. Plus I went and did some more with this pipe as well. I've got a guy over here interrupting my video. This is Rick from our shop, Rick Emerson. He's a ISDE rider heading south this fall to do that. He's also very well known here in Colorado as being a very high level rider. All right, so the Gnarly here, fit and finish, same as the Fatty. Fits well, looks good, welds are good, all that kind of stuff. But this is considered their bottom end mid-range pipe. And in the past, like the 23 and earlier, the TPI models, the carbureted models, I never did like the Gnarly pipe. I preferred the Fatty because I thought the Gnarly hit too hard off the very bottom and then signed off too early on the top. It was completely flat after the upper mid-range. This pipe is different, I gotta say. So it's got a nice bottom end, not quite as hard hitting as the previous ones, but this motor kind of needed livened up just a little bit for when you want to wheelie over a log or across ruts or roots or whatever your reasoning is, a step up, going up an uphill. This pipe makes that better because this motor, it's not a sleepy motor, but it's a very linear motor. So it didn't have as much snap as some guys want. And I think this pipe is really going to make it better for hard enduro guys as well. All right, so it pulls harder off the bottom, gets into that mid-range quicker, and pulls very nice through the mid-range. And it's not flat like they were before. It pulls about the same as the stocker on the top. I'd actually kind of like to see those dyno numbers, but it's very similar to the stocker. It's a great all-around pipe. I think it made it easier to ride because there was times when I just needed a little more snap to wheelie up and over something. So this is going to be the one I'm going to run. And I'll do a long-term test on it as well. Rick, you can go ahead and unload. That's fine. Yeah. The noise is not going to bother me. So guys, I think for the type of riding that I do, and I'm going to say that again, for the type of riding I do here in Colorado, we ride a lot of this stuff. I mean, this stuff is slick in the summertime when it's dry. And this is going to be the pipe for me for these conditions and for the really steep climbs, especially in high elevation when you're doing switchbacks and stuff to get up a mountain. All right, guys, I'm back here at the shop, and I got a pipe guard because I weighed that stock pipe that had the cord on it already. It was 6.6, and so if you subtract this, I've got the hose clamps on here also. If you subtract this from that 6.6 number, you'll end up, to where all the pipes are really about the same. This one's slightly heavier than a Fatty and a little bit lighter than a Gnarly. So it's but they're all really close to the same weight. So you're not really going to gain or lose much by installing one of those pipes. All right, guys, if you would, please like us on Instagram and Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and throw us a bone once in a while whenever you get a chance. We'd love to have your business. We've got a great staff that can help you with make informed decisions about your purchases. They're very helpful, and especially if you have questions about tires or things like that. All right, guys, that's all for now.